considering that you're in probably the most well thought of Democratic family in the history of the country, is it odd to be cast out by your party?
Well, I mean, I feel like I fought as hard as I could to stay within the Democratic Party, but, it became clear that I was not going to be allowed to compete or to run. And it was, the DNC has in its charter that it's supposed to be neutral. But what happened was, Rick, you remember in 2016, Debbie Wasserman Schultz was secretly helping Hillary against Bernie.
Yes.
And putting not only her finger, but, her leg and a lot of other stuff on the scale to make sure that Bernie couldn't win. And so a group of Bernie supporters sued the DNC after that election to say, hey, it says in your charter you're not allowed to do that. This is like showing up at a football game and the referees are wearing your opponent's jerseys, right? And you're not allowed to do that. So, but the federal judge, they litigated that case. And the federal judge said, yeah, they did it, they fixed it, but they can do it. It's legal. They're a private club. They can make up their own rules. They can change them when they want, and they don't have to obey them. They can run it any way they want. It's a private club. So this time is really the first time where they've said, there is no boundaries to what we can get away with now. And so they came right out and they publicly endorsed Biden, and then they merged their campaigns. Biden and the DNC were indistinguishable. They were operating out of the same office. They were, DNC was fundraising, and they can break all the fundraising rules. They're not bound by the rules I was of $6,600 maximum. They can get $700,000 from an individual and basically give it right to Biden's campaign. And so, I was fighting this behemoth, and then they were changing the rules. They changed the New Hampshire rules so that any vote I got in New Hampshire would count for President Biden, not for me. And, the whole politicization of and the weaponization that we've seen of the law enforcement agencies with them not giving me Secret Service protection, we're seeing that on every level. The censorship that was being done of me in cooperation with the FBI and the CIA. This is all documented in Judge Doty's 155-page federal decision that's now in the Supreme Court. And so it really became impossible for me to run in the Democratic Party. And then the media also, which is aligned. The media outlets like CNN, MSNBC, and New York Times that are completely aligned with the DNC. And there's a whole lot of Democrats who that's all they read, and that's all they see. And if I was living in that information bubble, I would consider myself a very disreputable, crazy person, because they never allowed an unfiltered interview with me on any of those outlets. And it was all, just mischaracterizations of what I said or I supposedly said, and a stream of defamation. And I'm not complaining. I'm just answering your question. Is this, at some point it became impossible for me to compete on those landscapes.